What is up, guys? We're back with another Rust What's Coming, and like I said, if the dev blog has a lot of information, I'm going to go ahead and cover it in a separate video. So this time we actually have a lot of stuff to go over. So starting up, of course, we've got the Python Revolver, which from my last video has changed a little bit in price. It's gone up by 1 spring and 5 HQM, giving you a total of 3 pipes, 3 springs, and 10 HQM. Still pretty cheap. When it comes to damage, you're looking at about 90 with a headshot. Coffee can 59, face mask 45, and to the naked body about 48. So still quite a beast and something to be tussled with. Moving on here, we are going to what's going to be the animations and the player animation fixes. This is kind of a chart. I really honestly don't understand it. I just kind of put it there so we have a background to talk about. This is going to be probably making a lot more sense to people who know what they're doing and making games in Unity. So anyways, the main thing was players weren't really looking where they're looking. So in third person, if you're looking at someone else and they're looking up, they'd be looking forward, but their gun would shoot up, and it just didn't make sense. So they fixed that. They've also fixed it to where you can tell when people are in iron sight, so you kind of have to see that. And altogether, they're also just making everything more optimized, more smooth, and kind of fixing out that player experience. So this has also got some optimizations and fixes that kind of just tie the game back together a little bit. So it's actually a very nice little thing there. Now moving on with AI. On the pre-release, you cannot check out the pre-release right now. It is on Unity 5.6 beta, so that's why we can't load into it. Now that is where Gary and Diego are working on the AI and the new animals. As you can see here, we no longer have Hedgehog Bear. It now has proper fur and looks quite awesome. And they are working on making sure they don't clip through things, they have better pathing, better AIs, and this is going to open up the ability to add new stuff into the game, possibly rad animals and mutants once again, so that will be something that will be great. And I mean, the fact that they're just not going to clip through your foundations and kill you will be amazing. Next, it has moved on to Farming 1.7, as they're calling it. And as you'll see, plants grow in person, as I went ahead and said in the last video, and here's a little video showing that. Of course, water does help them grow, this and that, and they're working on putting limitations to it and changing how it pretty much just works. But actually what's going on here is you can see some plants are growing better than others, and that's because they started to add genetics. And they're saying why? I mean, who even bothers farming? Well, what you can do is you can take a cutting from a plant, hold E on them, and take a cutting. The plant will then have a score, a G score of 0 to 10,000. The higher that number is, the better the plant itself is, and this will factor into things like, what happens if they get overwatered? How much water do they need? How much care do they need? How fast will they grow? How well they'll produce? And as you can see here, certain plants are growing faster than others, and that's just kind of like a example of that. But basically what they're saying, well, why? And the answer is, well, they're going to give us, of course, more plants. Food from better genetic plants will give you better food, better resources, and also things like medicines and so forth will be introduced once the system starts to get fleshed out. So they're basically just laying the groundwork for this. Next, we're moving on to Overgrowth, which is exactly what I was hoping it would be. Now they're saying they still like the idea of adding Overgrowth to abandoned bases that are decaying and so forth, but that's not their focus right now. They're just trying to get the underlying system set up and into the game. So that's good. It's always a good news with that. And it's basically just going to make the world look a little more old, a little more overgrown, give it a little more life, basically. And right now they're going to work on implementing it into the rad towns and then figuring out, hopefully, a system to add it to bases. Now, that is probably off in the future, and like I said, they'd like to do it, but it may not be a thing that happens. So that's just kind of something there. But I'm very excited to see the system go. And you'll see a few of the new plants and resources that they'll be adding. They're redoing grass to make it look better and so forth. So it's definitely going to be pretty cool. As these pictures cycle in the background, I'm going to go ahead and mention a few other changes. A crossbow has been made cheaper. It's now 100 wood, 50 metal frags, 1 rope, and 1 gear. I know people still want the gear to be removed, but they said this is what it's going to be until they rebalance the component loot tables. So, don't worry, they're still working on balancing it. It's not finished, they're getting there. The other thing, the P250 has been reduced in its effective range, which I think is great. It's a pistol, it shouldn't be making 150 meter shots accurately, And so now it pretty much functions exactly how it did, but it's got a 20 to 30 meter effective range, and then after that, it will kind of fall off quickly in the amount of damage it does, which I think is great. This thing is not meant to be a sniper or a rifle. It's a pistol, and it's so easy to get. It shouldn't be as OP as it is. We all know the meta. Everyone just runs around P2 because it's the easiest thing to do, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to go too much into the detail with that. But, yeah, that pretty much goes ahead and covers it, guys. If you want to see any of the details, go ahead and check out the dev blog itself. And a lot of you might say, well, oh, wow, new bear model and overgrowth and all this. We don't need that in the game. We need optimizations. They're still doing that in the background. Everyone has separate jobs. An artist isn't going to be fixing optimizations. An animator isn't going to be coding. So you have to kind of remember that, guys. But they are working on it, and that's awesome. So leave a like, guys, and we'll see you next time.